and welcome back to my channel. My name's Roya, and each week we do an episode of Mermaid Makeup Monday. This week is a little odd. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have known that I recorded this entire thing in double the speed. So with that being said, it recorded none of the audio, so I will actually be doing a voiceover. But going on to Instagram, if you do follow me over there, we did do a poll for the tail that we were going to do, and today Eelia is the tail that won out, and I'm going to do my best to narrate everything that's going on throughout this video in this voiceover. So I believe in this part I'm kind of explaining Eelia. Eelia was one of the tails from the second FinBella launch. It came out in 2023 during the Siren Sale, and it was actually the first tail I ever purchased. The day before Eelia came out, I joined the pod squad, and on my drive moving to Florida, I purchased Eelia as my very first tail, and then I would follow that up by getting Manta when Manta became tail of the month. So I was very excited about this collection, and so Eelia definitely holds a very special place in my heart. So I'm very excited about doing this makeup, and if you guys have any questions at all, please make sure you do leave them down in the comments below. If you aren't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and give this video a like, because that does help the channel grow and it helps me keeping these videos going. So I'm really excited to get into episode number 3 with Eelia, and throughout the month of October, we will be doing more siren-y inspired looks. So if you want to vote on whatever look you want to see for the month, make sure you head over to my Instagram. That's where I do the poll, and I share in my status on Instagram when the polls are live. Make sure to go vote on those, and if you want to see how to get this look, well, just keep watching. This voiceover should be quite interesting, me voicing me. All right, let's go. And here is where I am telling you guys to make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and well, let's get into the video. So here I'm starting off by letting you all know that in Mermaid Makeup Monday, episode 2, I went over my entire skincare with all of you. However, I feel like it made the video super long. So in order to skip that step, if you guys want to view that, you can go back to episode 2. Other than that, I'll have everything linked down in the bottom bar. But we're just going to get straight away into the makeup, and we're going to start off with primer. I will say it is always so humbling seeing my face with no makeup on. But I digress. Let's get into it. For this look, I will be starting off with the eyes, but just like last time, we're still going to go ahead and start off with that NYX Face Glue Primer and get that all over the skin first in case any of that eyeshadow does go out onto the face area. It's still got a nice primer base to go with, and then I'm just going to go in with my Anastasia brow pomade. It's my trusty, dusty, crusty, and I only say that because I'm going to use it until it falls apart. It's a great product. As usual, I'm going to start with my eyebrows first, just filling those in, starting at the very front of my brow and working it backwards with hair-like strokes, just to filling her in. I wish I could remember what I was yapping about here, but there's really no telling. I think that as usual, I was going on about how, you know, we can start off really messy and just clean it up, because that is my big thing. Makeup's about playing, so it's okay to get a little messy with it, and just know that you can go back in, you can fix it, you can clean it up, or worst case, it's makeup, so you can wipe it off and start all over again. So we're just going to go in and start with the brows, and then as usual, I am using my MAC paint pot in soft ochre to clean it up, and this is going to help me to clean the brows up, as well as being the base for the eyeshadow. And again, all of the products I'm using will be listed in the bottom bar down below, right above the comments. So I'm just using that paint pot to clean up my brows on both sides and then fill my entire eye in with it. It's a neutral shade, so it's great for any kind of eyeshadow base, and it's also sweat proof. So I really like this as the base for my eyeshadow, and because we're going to be smoking this out, I am dragging it underneath my lower lash line on both sides as well, because we will be doing quite a smoky eye on this look, which is why we're starting with the eyes first. So I want to make sure that I do have that base on both my upper lid and then my lower lash line as well. And here I'm just talking about my reference using the Long Line Sports Bra from Finfolk, and this is what I'm using as the reference for the colors in the look. So as we get into this eye look, we are going to be using 2 different palettes. The first one is going to be the Cultured palette from Juvia's Place, and I'm currently deciding on a brow shade. So we're going to use this champagne-y color. Spoiler alert, I do change my mind later on. It's kind of the funny thing about going into these voiceovers. The me now knows exactly what happened. The me then did not know. She knew nothing, Jon Snow. So I'm going in with my fluffy blending brush and I'm selecting this shade as the blending shade. Spoiler alert, I changed my mind on this as well. And that's one of the reasons I'm kind of bummed that I didn't get to include the original audio from this video, because it's something I talk about later on in the video, how sometimes we select colors that we think we're going to like with a look and then we change our mind on it. And I was really happy that I could showcase the whole art of playing and kind of messing around with things until you get it to a way that you like it in this video. But this is a prime example because I go in with this blending shade and I'm like, yeah, this is going to be great. And then as I start building the look, I'm like, you know what? I do think I want more of a green base. So I do switch that up a little later on. And then I'm just going over some of the eyeshadows from the Nightmare on Elm Street palette that I'll be using later on. But first, we're going to go in with this black eyeliner. This is that same Makeup Forever eyeliner that I use throughout all of my videos. It is a waterproof eyeliner, but what I'm talking about here is making sure when you're using one of these eyeliners that you're going to do one eye first, get that blended out, and then do the next eye, because if you try to do the liner on both eyes, by the time you get to your second eye to blend, that eyeliner is already going to be set in, so you're going to be fighting so hard to get that blended out. So it's much easier just to start with one eye at a time, get the liner on, and then blend that out, then move on to the next eye. So we're just going to keep blending that in on this eye, and I'm just working it up to my actual crease of my eye and making sure that that is as saturated as possible. Now I'm showing you the brush that I'm using. This is a pencil brush, and I'm just going all in with that and working that pigment around and then blending it up into the crease. And what that's going to do, it's going to give you a little gradient effect. So you're going to have a little bit more of a softer blend at the very peak of the crease, which will go in with another color later on to blend that all the way out. You can see I'm just working that product up. And again, with anything that's going to be waterproof like this, it is going to set. So you need to work faster to get that product moved around before it actually sets into place. We love the waterproof ability, but the blendability, you've just got a little bit of work time with it. Just showing the finishing touches on that blending, you can see how it's got that gradient effect going up. Not sure what I'm cracking up at myself about. I think it's probably my nervous laughter when it comes to doing looks like this. We're just still blending that out, and here you can kind of see that gradient. So it's much smokier towards the lash line, and then it gets less smoky the higher up we go. And then just going in and doing that exact same process on the other eye. And I've just sped this up so you guys can see the full process on both eyes without having to sit through the length of the full process on both eyes. Now we're just going in with this green shade, and this is what I was talking about earlier when I said I decided to go back in and kind of blend out the crease with a lighter green shade versus that neutral shade that we had used earlier, and I liked the way that that looked so much better. Not that the other way would have ended up looking bad, I just wanted to emphasize more greens to pull out the green of Eelia, and I think that this turned out much, much better. And again, just doing the exact same step on the other side. Once again, I'm using a pencil brush to work that green color into the crease and buff it upwards into more of that blending shade. And just going over windshield wiper motions back and forth, starting from the outside, working our way in. And now, the fun part, I love this rich green from the Juvia's Place Culture palette so much. So I'm going in with a more, like a smaller fluffy brush. You can see the difference here. And I'm working that into the deep crease of my eye and getting that color really built up, making it really rich to really give those rich green tones that Eelia has. I loved this shade so much. It's probably my favorite shade out of all the shades that we used in this look. It is absolutely gorgeous. So I am just blending that in, like I said, the very deep crease of your eye. It's not going as high up as we use those blending shades. It's staying more concentrated in the deeper crease of the eye area. And then, you know me, I gotta be giggling about something, so I'm just once again reiterating the process of trusting the process when it comes to this, because I think I was laughing about how crazy I looked because you're doing this crazy, deep, super rich, smoky eye, and then your face is just not done. So it'll all come together. You just gotta trust the process. But I don't really know what I'm talking about, but looking at this look right now as editing version of me, I would assume that I was at least thinking it as we continue to blend. Now, what I'm going in with is a different highlight shade. So as I was using the colors in the Nightmare on Elm Street palette, I noticed that one of the highlight shades that they had, it's a little shimmery. It's had more of a green flex to it, and I was like, okay, I think I would like that way more. So I went in on my highlight shade and went over it with that color. Now I'm going in with a rich black matte shade and pressing that all over where we had that eyeliner, just to richen up that blackness and really intensify it. Now what I'm talking about is, this was filmed on October 3rd. It's October 3rd. And I was talking about the Finfolk reveal of that gorgeous new throne that they have at the Renaissance Fair. And I was talking about how that is like my dream. That is like my home aesthetic. If I had a silicone tail made, it would be in that color scheme. That throne is just literally everything to me. I hope I get to sit on it. It's so gorgeous. And then we just continue on after our rant about the gorgeous Finfolk throne, packing in this black eyeshadow and just making sure that that looks really rich and really put in. Now I'm talking about the fallout. I'm saying this is why we start with the eye look here, because there is fallout all over my face. I quite literally look like I have a black eye. So that is why it looks like this. I always start with the eyes first, because the fallout on something like this is always going to be incredible, and it's going to mess up your foundation. Now I'm just going in. This is actually a clean, fluffy brush, and I am just blending everything together just to make sure we have no lines, everything is seamless, and it's all blended, blend. Now I'm going back in with that really rich green shade, and we are going to intensify that crease one more time. We did a lot of blending. We worked that black back in. So now I just want to make sure that that gorgeous, rich green shade has its time to shine in this look. So just adding that back into the eye look. And now we are going to line our tight line / our water line / our lash line, whatever you'd like to call it. I line my top and my bottom both. I think it pulls these really smoky looks together. And you all know that it is something that I do in almost all of my makeup looks, because I like the way it looks on me. So now I'm taking that same eyeliner, and this is actually my lower lash line, and I'm getting prepped to smoke this out the exact same way we smoked out the upper area of the eye. So starting with the eyeliner first, and then using the eyeshadow to blend it all out and make sure it stays really, really well. Now I'm just taking another more of a fluffy pencil brush, I guess you would call it. It's the same one we used up top in the deep crease, and I'm using that to smoke that rich green shade out on the underneath of my eye as well. Just using that trick that I taught you guys in my last video, where I actually use primer on a tissue to clean up the fallout. That way I'm not using a makeup remover or something that's going to cause the makeup that I go to put back down to separate or have any kind of issues adhering. I prefer to use a primer for this. And again, I'm just kind of talking to the fact that there's a lot of fallout, and that's why we do the eyes first. Now we're going to go in with the concealer, and if you've watched any of my tutorials, you know, if you know, you know, I use a lot of concealer. I like a copious amount of concealer on my face. So I'm going to go in and highlight all of the areas that I typically highlight in my looks. Also, side note, we will be going back to the eyes. We are not done with the eyes yet. I just like to jump around a little bit. Starting off with the concealer, and this is the L'Oreal Infallible that I always use. And just as a friendly reminder, we will have all of the products linked in the comments down below for you to find easily. Now I'm going in with my L'Oreal foundation. It is still too light for me. Have I gotten a darker shade yet? No, I haven't, but we're just making it work. Then blending it all the way down the neck. Blend, 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 blend. And then this is actually the most annoying part for me. I have the tiniest forehead, so going in and trying to precisely place the foundation once I actually have my brows on is always so hard. Here, I'm pretty sure I started joking about how I looked like a member of Kiss, how I looked like Skeletor. I just looked crazy. And then for some detail work, I'm just going in with this tiny brush. This is a concealer brush that I really like to use even on clients. I have several of these in my brush belt. Then we're going in with our typical Milani. This is Spilled the Tea. It is a cream bronzer. I love this cream bronzer. It's affordable and it works so well. The color is great. So if you have not given this a try, please do, because I love this cream bronzer so much. Now something we're changing up is, instead of doing our normal pink blush that I do, I'm going in with a coral blush. This is in the shade Joy, and this is from Rare Beauty. and I'm going to just buff that color in before we get ready to go in with a powder blush. I think all of my other tutorials I've used a pink blush. I actually am more of a fan of coral blushes. I think it gives you a really beautiful like glow from within look and like a really healthy cheekbone. So going in with that and then going on top with a little bit of a neutral blush tone just to get that all set in, and then using our Juvia's Place bronzer to set everywhere that we did bronze the face. And you know, I be trying to carve out that double chin, girl. Carve it away. Now for our normal setting powder, this is the L'Oreal Infallible Blur Powder. I think most of you know the drill with this. I'm just going to use a powder puff and I'm going to tap this in everywhere that we did not set with the blush or with the bronzer. And I always be talking about my baddies that got lip sweat because, girl, this Florida heat, my lips be sweating, so I make sure to extra set that area. Then using this to give a little bit of a reverse contour. I don't really bake it, but it does sit there a little bit longer before I kind of clear it off. This will also kind of help to tone down any areas where I was a little heavy-handed with the blush or bronzer, and just making sure everything's set in really well. Now we're going to go in with the Juvia's Place liquid eyeshadow. I've shown you guys this before, and I just like to use this as my highlight shade. It stays on so well in the water. It gives a great reflex, and this particular shade had a nice kind of green hint to it, which goes with the whole look. And then, as you all know, I like my Kevyn Aucoin powder in medium to do a little bit of nose reconstructive surgery. So just going in with that and a very thin brush to draw that out. And then we're going to blend it out and keep blending. And then y'all know me and my need for a shiny nose. Ode to Rudolph every day of my life. Now I'm going in with this lipstick. And I'm going to, once again, spoiler alert you all, I ended up not loving this lip combo. I was joking in this video, though, by this point that I couldn't stand to look at myself anymore with, like, my MySpace concealer lips. So I was like, I need to put something on my lips before we go any further. I just can't stand it anymore. So we popped that on, but I will show you what we end up doing to it. Now I'm going to use this color. This is from that Glam Light. This is the, I don't remember the name of the shade, but it's from the Nightmare on Elm Street palette. And it's just got a little bit of a shimmery, it's like a shimmery green. It's beautiful. And I'm using my finger to tap that in the center of my lid. And then with a small brush, I'm going to put this same shade in the center of my lower lash line just to kind of bring the whole look together. And I wish that the camera showed how gorgeous this looked. It was just so glittery in person. Now I'm going in with my Jumbo NYX pencil in the color Milk. And we are doing that white inner corner moment. I'm pretty sure I told you guys here that if you wanted to stop here, blend it out, you could, because I love a good white inner corner moment. However, we are going to go in with the same shade that we used on our brow, and we are going to blend that out with that shade because, again, it did have a little hint of that green to it, and I feel like that brought like the whole look together. So we blended that out, and then going in with a lighter green back on the eyes to smoke that lower lash line out. Again, that is from the Juvia's palette. And then we're using the same liquid eyeshadow from Juvia's, putting that in the inner corner, buffing it out. Then I'm doing my normal, hey, I'm not going to use this in the water, so if I was using it in the water, I would use the Essence mascara, but since we're not, I'm going to use my Extended Play mascara. And now comes the lips. Like I said, I was not in love with lipstick, so I was like, what are we going to do here? And what I did was I took a black eyeshadow on a pencil brush and started blending that into my lip shade. And then I used the gloss from my Long Stay NYX lipsticks. And then I also mixed that Jumbo White NYX pencil in the middle of my lip. And then I was satisfied with the lip color. You could do this with like a pale, probably like pink, and mixing it with a gray lipstick. I think you would get the same effect, or using a gray eyeliner to line your lips, but I did it after the fact because once again I changed my mind. Now we're going in with our Heroine Make eyeliner. I love this. It's an amazing Korean waterproof eyeliner, and I'm just using that to add a little emphasis. And there is the look. But of course, you know, we have to add our mermaid crown. And I would say mermaid top, but unfortunately I have no top that matches Eelia currently. So this is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was definitely a process, and like I always say with makeup, please remember you can play, you can adjust it. It is not one size fits all. And I do think in this part of the video I was talking about how there's so many looks that you can do with Eelia. I just wanted to go with like more of a siren-y, smoky eye for this video. And if you guys ever want to see additional looks, maybe we can swing back to tails that we've already done and just do a different complete look for them, because I do think there's some really cool elaborate things that we could do with these tails. But I hope that you guys enjoyed the videos. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you later. Bye!